Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. We're having a wild morning here in the Bachelor Nation newsroom. Jane Doe, the lady that claims to be pregnant with Clayton Echard's twins, has a new lawyer who turns out might be a fan of Bachelor Nation. Is that a conflict of interest? I don't think so. It could actually be a good thing for Clayton, to be honest. But either way, we're going to dive into it. We'll talk about Jane Doe's new lawyer and what this will affect. Does it affect my harassment case that she has against me? All these other things. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals, patreon.com/Dave Neal for behind-the-scenes bonus content, and also Bachelor Rush Hour, the hit podcast, every morning, every afternoon. I'm going to tell you right now, I think the afternoon rush hour podcast might be our biggest one ever. As I was beginning to record this and put things together, and as you guys might know, sources come from all over the woodworks. They truly do. I just received information. I'm hesitant to report on it just yet. I still have one more thing I need to vet with it, but I just received information that is massive regarding this case right here. Very massive. I'm not ready to talk about it yet, but hold on. I'm not, this isn't clickbait. Just give it some time. I'm going to be talking about it on this morning's Patreon as I kind of get my ducks in a row here. Patreon.com/Dave Neal. If you don't want to join, you can just wait. I'll probably have something up this afternoon or tomorrow. Do me a favor. Subscribe to the podcast Bachelor Rush Hour. You'll get it there if you don't get it here. Okay. I just say all that because things, this is how it works, folks. Sometimes I was just saying this to my wife. I was literally in the shower. I was like, well, it's a slow morning. Not much going on. Better be careful because whenever the pond is very still, there's a lot going on below the surface there. And right now the pond it looks like glass, and we're about to break through this glass with this story. Wild stuff, folks. Absolutely wild. And I think you guys can trust that I'm not hyperbolizing anything. Is that even a word? All right, let's get into it. So we have these new court filings. I'm going to share them with you, and we'll talk about this new lawyer that we have here. But in the court filings, it looks like the docket date of December 26th, which would have been Tuesday, a notice of appearance for petitioner. Again, not a lawyer, don't know too much about this. Petitioner here, though, is Jane Doe. A lot of people hypothesized that this notice would have been basically to tell the court, hello, I'm the new lawyer. I'll be the new sheriff in the Jane Doe town here. And then we've got actually that's what they deliver. Here's the notice right here. Attorney for Jane Doe, the petitioner, is Alexis Lindvall. The attorney for Clayton Echard is Greg Woodnick. We've known that. He also represented Greg Gillespie in his cases against Jane Doe in the past. So Alexis Lindvall, welcome to the wonderful world of family court. And I know you already cover family court. I'm not here to court-splain to you. But boy, this case may be a little different than some of your past cases. So we're going to get into, I'll share with you what she said on Facebook. By the way, I already love her. I really do. I truly do. This looks like a power attorney. She's got blue nails. Don't mess with a lady who's got funny colored nails here, right? She's got it going on. This thing, I mean, I'm telling you, she means, I'm not saying this. This is with full respect. I would not want to face her in the courtroom. She looks like she knows what she's got going on here. We'll get to all that in a second. A lot of people are asking and sharing very positive information here on the Justice for Clayton subreddit, which, by the way, I'm so glad they made a Justice for Clayton subreddit because I really didn't like the idea of a subreddit aimed at targeting and tearing apart Jane Doe here, the petitioner. Clearly, there's a lot to unpack and hopefully a lot that can be done to repair the health and well-being of those involved. I mean, truthfully, a lot needs to be done here. This is a demolition of character. Some might say it's self-induced. It doesn't matter at this point. It's like we all are humans and we all need to pick each other up, and she's going to need to be picked up, in my opinion, when this is all said and done. And I hope that we can continue to show what the high road looks like. Show what empathy and compassion looks like, because she'll need it. And don't get me wrong, other content creators being sued by her, Clayton, Greg, this guy, Mike, they're going to need it too. But I think we have enough to go around. So public figures versus private figures. This is the whole debate. She claims she's a private figure, but then of course she says she's a up and coming musician. She's a well-known podcaster, all these things. It's like, are you private or public? You know what I mean? It's kind of like when, when someone tries to value their home at $1 million so they don't have to pay taxes, but then when it comes time to sell it, they say it's worth $20 billion. It's like, well, which one is it? Okay, you gotta operate in some framework of reality. Public figure versus private figure. Under Supreme Court precedent, defamation law treats claims made by private and public figures differently. And of course, remember, this isn't a defamation case, but I've been threatened with defamation, so it'd be nice to know, is she public? One rationale explained by the Supreme Court for treating claims by these individuals differently is the need to foster public debate and free, uninhibited discussion concerning contentious persons in the public eye and hot-button issues of public concern. So I guess you could make the argument, was this of public concern? Well, she leaked it to the press. She made it a public debate with a very public community, that being the Bachelor audience. So the background goes into 1964. The Supreme Court in New York Times Co. versus Sullivan introduced a framework for the disparate treatment of public and private plaintiffs in libel cases. Ultimately, the Supreme Court held that there were two types of defamation plaintiffs, public and private, and that the First Amendment established a different burden of proof needed to be met in order to succeed in a defamation claim, one for each type of plaintiff. I guess here, it'd be interesting because back in the day, if you were public, you were a politician, you were a celebrity, there was a high gate kept between who was public and who wasn't. And now it's like you get verified on Instagram, you're kind of a public figure, you share things publicly, you vetted your driver's license with the social media app, they know who you are. And if you're like doing a TEDx talk where you're claiming to be a speaker of knowledge with something, you're kind of a public, there doesn't seem to be much gray area there. She's not a mom whose only thing she's done was talk at a town hall meeting about getting Capri Suns banned because there's too much sugar in them, which, by the way, I would hate to see Capri Suns banned. Don't we how do you put that's a real powerful moment in a kid's life when he learns how to jab the Capri Sun with the old skinny little straw there. That's a problem-solving skill. Public figures versus private figures. So the Supreme Court has defined public figures as those who hold government office and those who have achieved a role of special prominence in the affairs of society by reason of notoriety of their achievements or vigor and success with which they seek public's attention. So I guess it comes down to maybe she could make the argument that her podcast has failed at seeking the public's attention. You know what I mean? It'd be very tough to say. She'd have to say, okay, my podcast, even though I want it to be big, only has an audience of 3,000 people. Therefore, it doesn't count as a public figure. I don't think that would work. She's literally called herself a public figure, but it's one of those so things they do in the rap game where you fake it till you make it. Wear all the expensive bling to look like you're rich and famous, even if you're not. Is that what's going on with the shiny microphones here? Private figures are those ordinary individuals who have not sought out the public spotlight. So we can definitely say she sought out the public spotlight. I think that's true. Or thrust themselves, thrusting is what got us into this problem, or lack thereof, into the discussions of highly public and contentious issues. By not seeking the limelight, courts recognize that private figures have not invited attention or comment on their actions. As such, private figures are generally entitled to a higher degree of protection and privacy under the First Amendment of state law. Well, I know I'm a public figure. I don't argue that. We've got an audience of 1 million views a month, 10 million watch hours, featured in Time Magazine. Come on now, where are the accolades? I'll have 35 tickets sold to my stand-up show tonight. Hey, if you want to come, Huntington Beach, 7 p.m. at the Rec Room, I'll be performing stand-up. I'll actually be talking about this case in my stand-up act. Not making jokes about Jane Doe per se, but definitely will be talking about how funny it is that in the good Lord's year of 2023, I was both featured in Time Magazine and then also sued. And it's like, talk about a great American pastime and Time Magazine. Okay, we love a good lawsuit here in the U.S. So let's go into it. So I'm going to share, this is why Jane Doe, in my opinion, has gotten a lawyer and lawyered up because of these new motions. This court case was set to expire. They were going to dismiss it. There was no movement on the case. So there was a motion for leave to amend respondents' response to petition to establish paternity. And what this means is now that Clayton has a lawyer, they're kind of trying to clean up what they want on the record before issuing a motion to also claim non-paternity. Whereas respondent respectfully requests this court permit respondent to file the attached amended response. So again, the amended response, it's a new request here, right here. Request this court enter a finding of non-paternity. So not only does Clayton want to know that he's not the father, he wants the court to know, hey, this is a non-paternity. And then here they have the amended response to petition to establish paternity. So they amended the responses to say all of the details so that they're in the court record, that she had a contract she wanted him to sign to promise for 1 week while they determine the best court of action for their pregnancy, that they would explore a relationship with intention, this type of stuff here. She wanted to date exclusively, and then she would let him decide what to do. So despite 2 fetal DNA tests indicating little to no fetal DNA and 1 test lost in transit, petitioner posted another Medium article identifying herself as the anonymous woman. So she came out as the anonymous woman on Medium, now once or twice. Also on Facebook said, hi, my name's Jane Doe. So even though she claims she wanted to just talk to her friends, can you imagine if I was like, hello, friends and family, I'm Dave Neal? It's like, what are we doing? So either way, all of this was put in the court records for Clayton to go on the offensive here, to go on the offensive and say, not only do I not want this to get dismissed, I want the court to know I'm not the father. And I also want the court to know whether she was or wasn't pregnant, which I do believe they could do with a test, even if she's no longer pregnant. I do believe up to a certain amount of time, the court can essentially request or maybe demand even a blood test to prove whether she was pregnant or not. And why does that matter? Well, if she wasn't pregnant, then she's lied under oath multiple times. Her lawsuits against me and basically every other defense she has are irrelevant. They're just irrelevant. Even if she is pregnant, her harassment case about me is really irrelevant because I've reported in good faith on this. So either way, also filed notice of filing affidavit of non-paternity. I mean, this is a lot. She filed a lot here. So when we get into it, I mean, all of the things here, all of the different exhibits that they included, the emails and the back and forth, that's in there. And they also, and again, we already covered this, but I'm just catching up Jane's new lawyer here. But they also filed to register in the Putative Father Registry, which means I know I didn't have sex with her, but if she does give these faux babies up for adoption or claims she gave them away for adoption, I want my name here so that they have to come through me first. So before she gives up the faux babies, she has to faux ask me to raise the faux baby, that type of stuff. And so that's not him necessarily admitting, well, if there's a chance there's kids, he says there's no kids, but I'm still going to go through this system and in whatever way possible. And I do believe that it is our covering of all of this that has made it virtually impossible for Jane Doe to say, see, look, he might be the father. Like, no, we've covered this. We've literally been white on rice. We've been flies on shit the way we've covered this case. And it's important. You might say, Dave, you made 100 million videos. What's wrong with you? It's been important to describe to the audience the playbook before she accesses the plays. Do you understand? It's important to say, well, she can no longer claim miscarriage because it's after 20 weeks. If she did claim that she no longer had the babies, she would have to produce some sort of registry here. And again, guys, I get so offended on behalf of people that have lost a child. I can't tell you how personal this is when we hear somebody that may possibly be abusing a very challenging time for a potential mom or a potential family. If someone close to my family recently had a 14-week miscarriage, and I'm telling you right now, you just don't fuck with that type of stuff. Well, again, we're not dealing with rational thought here, but I'm telling you right now, you don't just let this stuff slide if this is what's going on. So here's the new lawyer. Actually, yeah, let's go here. YLD Spotlight. This, I believe, is the same one. I don't think there's another Alexis Lindvall in the law world here. Congratulations to Lexi Lindvall. Oh, Lexi Lindvall. What a diva. I really like, don't let all your time get wasted on Jane Doe. Let's elevate Lexi Lindvall here for being the YLD member of the month for February. 2022. Lexi grew up in Texas, a suburb just outside of Dallas. She then went on to Auburn University, where she got her undergraduate degree. Lexi then came to Arizona for law school, where she attended ASU. Oh, Lexi was in ASU. Oh, partying in ASU, huh? We've been down to Tempe. We know how they all roll. Is that ASU? Either way, I'm sure she is crushing it over there. She's been here ever since, and now she practices as a family law attorney. In her spare time, Lexi loves riding her Peloton, watching Bravo and The Bachelor, Bachelorette, and hanging out with her pets. Oh boy, she's a fan of The Bachelor. Lexi enjoys being a part of the YLD because she gets to network with other like-minded attorneys in different practice areas. Again, being a fan of The Bachelor should not, in my belief, negate her from being able to do her job here. Although I guess you could make some sort of I guess maybe you could make a claim, again, I'm not a lawyer, where you say, well, she's a fan of the defendant here. Or is it, so what do we have? We have the petitioner versus the respondent. So she's a fan of a show that the respondent was a star on. I wonder if this would be used against her, not by Clayton's side, but I wonder if this would be used against her by Janeth Doeth's side. And I say that because we do know that she has, again, according to information I've heard, we do know that she has reached out to the bar of past lawyers she's had to file complaints about the way they've handled the case. I'll tell you this. I wouldn't want, if I were a chef, I wouldn't want to be serving somebody who writes a lot of Yelp reviews that are negative towards chefs. You know what I mean? If I were a lawyer, I may not want to represent somebody that's filed nasty complaints to the bar and have that on my record. We also know other complaints that Jane Doe has made in emails to the judge, straight to the judge, which of course was not accepted in the record here, that claimed heinous things about her respondent, Greg Gillespie here. Either way, Alexis, aka Lexi Lindvall, attorney at large. So that's all the information on her. Good to see. Let's see. I don't think they're going to mention Bachelor again here. But hey, look, I think you got to have a lot of respect for your legal advisors. And here's what Lexi wants her clients to know. So here's what she might have told Janeth Doeth. With a heart for family law and a commitment to her clients' best interests, Alexis is a compassionate advocate who goes above and beyond to navigate the complex waters of divorce and family law. Her diverse experiences, expertise in high conflict cases, and unwavering dedication make her an invaluable asset to the modern law team. Clients can expect a supportive, empathetic, and highly competent attorney who truly cares about their future. Trying to get medical fraud taken off the record? Have you been found guilty by the court of public opinion of fabricating an ultrasound in order to convince the public world that you're pregnant with twins? Come find Lexi Lindvall. Again, we don't know if that's actually the case here, but that's her new lawyer. What might be happening next? I tell you what, as I've been doing this episode, things have been coming my way. As I've said, it's been very quiet around the Christmas season. I've received new information. I'm going to try to get it up in the next video. If not, I'll have it on Patreon. That might blow this wide open. Once I tell you what that is, you will look back on this moment and know I'm not effing around when I make that claim. We'll be back with more right after this.